Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And thank you very much for being here with us today for this Guesty virtual meetup, Upgrading Your Tech Stack, New Year, New PMS. Quickly, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Joseph Weinstock, Director of Sales Americas for Guesty, the industry's leading short-term rental property management platform. And with us today are prominent thought leaders from the travel and short-term rental ecosystem. Please welcome Daniel Rev, Director of Professional Services at Guesty, Lawrence Malion, co-founder of Danini Apartments, and Palmer Rosen, Managing Partner at Rosen Vacations. Thank you all for your participation today. In today's virtual meetup, I will begin sharing my thoughts on what property managers care most about when considering a new PMS. And then I will invite our panelists to share their insights on what to consider when making the switch to a new PMS and upgrading your tech stack. We'll then begin our live panel discussion and conclude with an interactive Q&A featuring questions from our audience. Although every property management company is unique with its self-defined business and operating requirements, as Guesty has assisted thousands of companies to migrate their business over to Guesty, we have learned that the most pressing issues that resonate the most with them are robust channel management and distribution, powerful, intuitive accounting and financial management tools, as well as automating business processes and workflows such as cleaning, maintenance, communications, payments, and much more. At Guesty, we deliver all three and then some. Let's dive a little deeper into each one. Guesty's Channel Manager simplifies the onboarding process of connecting your booking channels to Guesty and distributing listings and content, all without having to juggle between multiple dashboards. Instead of switching back and forth between various applications, dashboards, and booking channels, you're able to manage revenue, reservations, communications, listings from a single platform, one experience across multiple channels, define your listings and settings in the Guesty platform, and easily publish them to your preferred booking channels. Guesty's Channel Manager allows you to increase bookings and revenue per channel with maximized channel exposure and optimized nightly rates, save time with fast and efficient booking channel connectivity and channel management, gain full data control, and avoid double discrepancies, eliminate double bookings, and experience continuous data sync and real-time content updates. Also having the ability to mitigate manual work and mistakes by automatically completing booking channel setups and updates with our automated onboarding tools. You can also create your properties and settings once in the Guesty platform and then easily and seamlessly update them on all channels and more. With our best-in-class automated trust accounting compatible system, it eliminates repetitive tasks while keeping your business running smoothly. It offers the ability to customize according to your business model, the ability to export data to multiple applications, to provide granular reporting, to automate owner statements, integrate with third-party applications, automate journal entries, and of course, processing recurring income and expense management. In addition to that, the Guesty's accounting solution allows you to keep track of your finances at all times, produce reliable owner statements to keep your customers informed, sync multiple accounting processes at once, save on resources, and much more. We also have top-notch automation software that takes over routine tasks such as communication with guests, owners, and team members, automated reviews, automated rate management via our revenue management tools, automated payments, tasks such as cleaning, maintenance, and inspections, rental agreements, check-in forms, damage protection, and much more. Guesty's automation tools allow you to create a sequence of customized messages to be sent out to guests at any stage through the medium of your choice, if it's SMS, email, WhatsApp, or the booking channel. Ensure each and every guest inquiry is met with a quick response, automatically adjust rates according to your specifications to maximize revenue, Save yourself the hassle of reviewing guests over and over again by automating the process of allowing Guesty to post reviews and assign specific payment rules to each listing so that you can automatically activate payments for all your reservations according to your policies. What else should you consider when switching to a new PMS and upgrading your tech stack? That's what we're going to discuss here today, starting with Daniel Rev, Director of Professional Services at Guesty, on his experience of onboarding PMCs, making the switch to Guesty, and what you should expect from a high quality onboarding process. The stage is yours, Daniel.
So as Joseph mentioned, if you're here with us today, you're probably playing with the idea of switching to new property management software, which is obviously a rather big decision, as the PMS serves as the epicenter of the property management company's business. So I'd like to begin by addressing the question, how do you know if you should make the switch? I think to answer that, you need to ask yourself why you use a property management software in the first place. The likely answer: to centralize, automate, and streamline your operations, removing the need for you to depend on multiple unsynchronized platforms to get the job done. That's combined with the reality that the industry is currently experiencing an expedited tech revolution in order to keep up with the rapidly rising demand of guests. Means that if you truly want to thrive in this business, your property management software has to address every aspect of short-term property management. So the first step is to take an honest assessment of your current software and ask yourself, does my PMS boast the features I generally require to address all of my unique business needs? Does my PMS's features successfully and easily automate and facilitate my operations? And finally, in the name of centralizing my solutions, does it support integrations with third-party platforms? If you answered no to any of these questions, then it's probably time to make a change. Still, easier said than done. There are, of course, challenges when it comes to transferring your business epicenter to a new and unfamiliar platform. These are often enough to deter any property management companies from making a move that will likely ultimately prove incredibly beneficial to their business. Working in the onboarding world, some of the most common reasons for hesitation that I've come across are unwillingness to interrupt current business proceedings, fear of learning to navigate a new platform, concerns about financial costs involved in such a large-scale business shift, and a lack of confidence that will truly pay off. These concerns are certainly understandable, and our onboarding department at Guesty has worked very hard to address them. For one, we have a dedicated process tailored explicitly to the onboarding needs of those coming to Guesty from a different property management software. This involves personal hands-on assistance, especially when it comes to migrating data from the old software to our platform. Meaning the onboarding consultant will take a direct role in uploading critical business data to the Guesty platform. Second, it involves a gradual migration, moving operations over and turning them off on the old platform as you go, so that your business operations face minimal interruptions and you don't lose out on loss of revenue or damage your reputation. To address the dauntless task of learning to navigate a new platform with a user flow that is obviously quite different from what property managers and their teams are used to, we've used our experience, migrating hundreds of property management companies from another software to help us curate an optimal onboarding journey that users will conclude with a clear understanding of the platform and plenty of hands-on practice using its features. Knowing that each property management company has unique needs and modes of operation, we dedicate a significant portion of this journey to customizing the product to the user's needs, so that when they get started, they're already working with something that's tailored to their business. Whatever property management software you're considering, be sure to research not only its features, functionalities, and integrations, also its approach to onboarding. Because no matter how comprehensive or impressive a solution looks, it's only as good as its usability. If a software provider does not want to take the time to invest the resources in properly introducing new users to the product, all the potential goes to waste. When looking into the onboarding process of a PMS, keep an eye out for these key components of successful onboarding. What you don't want are text and video tutorials alone. A property management software is not an IKEA bookshelf. It's going to take more than a set of instruction manual to give you the know-how you need to successfully operate your business with its features. Make sure you're getting a dedicated onboarding expert to guide you, answer any questions that may arise, and ensure you feel confidence in every step of the way. Your company and the region you operate are uniquely yours. Your onboarding experience should be too. Make sure you're not buying a one-size-fits-all approach to onboarding. that you're given the opportunity to communicate your particular localized business pain points and priorities, and that your onboarding journey is tailored accordingly, focusing on meeting your distinct needs and enabling your professional objectives. Reminder, a property management software is meant to centralize all of your business operations, which means it's got to be robust to have an extensive set of features. Your onboarding journey should just be as comprehensive, taking you through every aspect of the software in a clear and demonstrative way that ensures you exit the process with the confidence necessary to use the platform to its full potential. Guesting's onboarding process generally consists of 5 live sessions that span the course of several weeks, each session dedicated to a distinct component of the software, with a spotlight on user-specific priorities. A proper onboarding journey should not introduce just the user to the software, but also the software to the user. A significant portion of your onboarding process should be about readying the dashboard for your personal use, which involves hands-on setup, tweaks, and mapping out best practices and ideal workflows. You should exit the onboarding journey not just with extensive knowledge of the platform, but also a dashboard that has been onboarded to your business. I could probably go on about this topic, but I don't want to take up all your time. Plus, this ties into everything we've just talked about. I want you to do your own research. Reach out to Guesty users, ask them about their onboarding experience, which is probably a pretty great segue into our next 2 speakers. Thank you for listening. Feel free to reach out to me at daniel@guesty.com if you'd like to continue the conversation. Cheers.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Daniel, for that. I will now invite Lawrence Malion, co-founder of Danini Apartments, to share his company's motivation behind switching to Guesty from their previous PMS, as well as crucial aspects the PMCs should consider when choosing a new PMS and their experience making the switch.
Thank you firstly to Guesty for inviting me here today. Hopefully I can add some value to you guys viewing today. I'm Lawrence Malion, co-founder of Danini Apartments. We are a Scottish-based service accommodation business based on the coast here in Ayrshire, not so sunny Ayrshire. Hope you can't feel the temperature that I can feel behind me through the screen. It's very horrible outside. We've been in business for about 5 years. 5 years actually last Monday, which is Valentine's Day here in the UK, which is great fun. So I'm just going to touch on a little bit about, get my slides to work, touch a little bit of the background of Danini and kind of how we started, and then I'll share a little bit about our journey to bringing Guesty into the business. So as I say, we started 5 years ago. This is Jake, the guy on the left, and the handsome guy myself. Quite a few years ago now when we started Danini whilst we were still at uni. So kind of between classes and lectures when we probably should have been talking about economics, marketing and things like that. We were really talking on about how we would start our vacation rental business, if you like. Back then, we were literally doing everything ourselves, as I'm sure so many of you on the call are used to, all the kind of cleans and scheduling and dealing with guests and sales and everything. We are now at the point that we have a team of 15 great people, and we'll talk a little about what we do. Now, so we operate 50 apartments and houses on the Ayrshire coast, as I said. We're at this point looking at how we expand throughout the UK, and we are eminently looking at acquiring whole blocks of apartments rather than just individual units. So although we're at 50 at the moment, we're really at a kind of a point that we will springboard forward, and that's a big part down to kind of the foundational piece that we've put in, Guesty being part of that. Here's some of our apartments and houses. Our website's beside my name, so feel free to go and book Scottish holiday if you would like. And this is our team of people, not quite 15 in this photo. It's taken a few months ago now. And that's our offices here in Ayr. One thing that I should say is all the properties that we do bring on board, it's really, really important for us that they all help our guests experience more, which is our tagline. So the kind of quality of everything that we provide at Danini is really important, all the way from obviously our properties, our guest service, but also the software that we have, because that, as we know in this industry, is such a big kind of promoter or detractor from the guest experience that we can provide. Which is why I think a year and a half ago now, we realized that we really did need a new PMS. And believe me, at that point, we looked at a lot of PMSs. We'd already been through two, and we knew that kind of to make that change again, to make that leap of faith again, it had to be kind of the last time, if you like. It is a big move, and it was something at that kind of size of business, we had to make sure it was the right move. So we spent a long time finding the right system. The reason that we knew that we had to make a move to Guesty is our guest experience will determine the strength of our brand. And this is something that we say at Danini a lot. Our brand is everything. And we know that great guest experience will allow us to continue to build on our brand and grow over time. But a guest experience that isn't great will lead to, in quite a short period of time, our brand really losing its quality and losing its appeal. So doing the opposite of what we want to do. We were also at the point that we needed increased operational consistency and efficiency with things like housekeeping, communicating with guests, maintenance. Our current PMS and the one before that just wasn't offering the efficiency required from what is quite a small team number for the amount of guests that we deal with. Further to that, we are a very impatient company, and the roadmap, if you like, of system improvement and development that we were being offered at that point just wasn't clear enough, and we didn't feel like the requests or promised kind of improvements that were being promised to us were actually getting moved along quickly enough or as per kind of promised. So that was a really big one that I'll touch on a little bit going forward about the way that Guesty kind of works on that one. We realized that we needed really strong foundations for the growth that we planned to have in store, and that we kind of had to make that change at that point, if you like. The integrations that Guesty can provide are definitely significantly more than the previous PMSs, and I'll talk about how that works. And finally, the support that we have experienced in the past has not been particularly supportive. And when you have a kind of crisis or a channel connection issue, we really do need support. That's something that we look for when we went over to Guesty. Essentially, we were looking for strong foundations for our business, and we have had success with Guesty. I can definitely say that the unified inbox, I think that's what you guys call it, apologies if it's not exactly, but the central inbox where all the guest communication comes into, like, that has genuinely made our team's life so much easier and our guest experience so much more consistent. We have a team of 15 people. We don't have many guest experience people, guest relations people, and they work at different hours, but the team that we do have can really provide a great guest experience through kind of that unified inbox. The financial information that we now have access to is amazing. We have like daily pickup reports. We have really accurate monthly management accounts that allow us to understand fully the kind of areas of our business that are working really well and the areas that maybe need a little bit more attention. The integrations that we now have include an integration with Hubspot, meaning that any guest that comes into Guesty, we can put into Hubspot, which is where we all our sales pipelines from our sales team live, and where all our remarketing goes out of our email campaigns, etc. So having that integration is brilliant. We have a direct integration with Orphan Pricing, which I would highly recommend as well. That's allowed us definitely to increase our revenue and our occupancy rates as well, just because of actually having more accurate rate setting in our market. And we're also looking at integrating with something called Touch Stay, which is, I guess, the experience improvement kind of application type thing. And I'll jump to the very end as well. Just in the last week, we have managed to get Guesty's new integration with Home Inspire set up, which actually allows us to put up the temperature of an apartment just before a guest checks in and pull it down again when a guest checks out, which I don't know about you guys, but gas and electric prices in the UK are going horrible right now. So that's something that we're really kind of happy that Guesty have just made that integration. To that point, Guesty does genuinely listen to needs that we have. We have a client success manager, I think you call them. We call her Hazel, and we reach out to Hazel with needs that we have. And unlike previous software packages that we've had, like, Hazel does actually listen and listens to the needs that we have and tries to build that into the roadmap. and the roadmap does actually move forward. Like the software package that we have now in comparison to the package that we had when we joined Guesty is definitely far better. You guys are clearly investing a lot of money in making it better. So it's good to be listened to, if you like. Talk a little bit about the switching process. Not going to lie to you guys, it is a big piece of work. It took us a lot of planning. Don't just rip the plaster off, plan it out, listen to Guesty's guidance on that. They will help you navigate through it. But yeah, don't just go in blindsided that you're just going to sort it all out. It could go wrong. With a bit of planning, for us, it didn't go wrong. And we knew that we had to do it, and we had to get it done as early as possible for our growth curve. 30 units or wherever we were, it was a big piece of work. At 50 units now, it would be a much bigger piece of work. And doing it again in the future would be a much bigger piece of work. So get it done nice and early. We were looking for a system for the long term, so it was worthwhile doing that for us. I think Guesty, to a degree, we're a bit surprised about how planned out we were. But again, we moved it into place without any help, so quite proud of that. We wish we changed sooner. Looking back at like the data that we have, for example, it's consistent and reliable from the point that we had Guesty. The data we look at before, we don't really know if like revenue, pickup report, A&R, etc. data, we don't know how reliable that is. So we do wish we changed sooner, but hey, we have it now. Just one wee point on the switch. A big reason for us changing was to improve our direct booking website. The new direct booking website has increased our direct bookings on the website by literally 10 times. So that in itself, we would say is a success of the switch. I think we'll run out of time, so we'll be very quick on our planning process. I would recommend setting your own in-house project manager. We set Joy and our team to kind of overlook and run the entire transition. Joy worked very closely with the onboarding person at Guesty. I think we probably pushed it to more than 5 calls, but really worked very well together. Joy then actually divvied up the work between our different departments and Danini. Everybody had clear kind of expectations and a clear timeline on what they had to do by certain points. I say had to quite kind of strongly because everybody actually moving on a consistent time frame is a really important part of not messing up the integration, basically. Back up your data. We backed up our data in many different ways on Excel, Google Sheets, Word documents, pen and paper, whatever you had to do. Just make sure that through the transition and beyond, you can look back on anything that might not have kind of went through in the way that it should have. Also allows you to re-import that data afterwards if there's any discrepancies, which we did have, and Guesty helped us through that as well. Recommend that everybody's in the office, even if you're working from home. Try and get everybody on at the same time for the transition day, at least, just to kind of help all hands on deck. Let guests know. They might get a repeat check-in email, or they might just get something that wasn't expected. So every guest that was in-house with us and every guest that was going to check in through the transition period, we kind of kept them in the loop. Check again. We were very particular about that, just making sure that everything as we went was running smoothly. And again, I think that probably prevented some issues, if you like. Trust Guesty, they've done this many times before. They were very, very helpful and kind of drove us through it. But push them for help as well. That's part of the deal, is getting Guesty to help you with the transition, and they genuinely, they don't just give you the keys and let you figure it out yourself. They do genuinely help. And yeah, we've got the system that we kind of need now for our growth. So to that point, when you're finished with it all, celebrate it and make sure that the hard work that your team have kind of went through to put into place is celebrated, because it's not something that you do every year. A little bit of thought I'd include a screenshot of the document that we used to plan it out. We're weird like that. Telling a little bit about our goals for the future now that we have robust foundations in place. We're now in the really, really fortunate position that we are ready for significant growth. So we've actually just recently signed head of terms for a master lease on a block of 50 apartments. A block of 50 apartments that's actually 400 miles away from our office where I'm standing in right now. But we have the confidence that we can pretty much entirely operate that from here, with a few kind of key staff on the ground in that development, as 8 hours drive for context. So that's kind of the confidence that we now have in our foundational systems and operations, if you like. We're also confident that in the next year we have the capacity and the kind of, we're at the point in our journey that we can add 100 units for the next 12 months, and that we have those systems again in place to actually operationally run them. And we have the kind of credibility, if you like, to now go out and talk to larger developers and investment funds to really kind of skyrocket our growth. Now that we've got those foundations. A little bit of a thank you to Guesty. You're definitely part of that, to have those foundations in place now. 5-year plan, 500 units, operations throughout the UK, and a great team that can help us drive that forward. That's pretty much it. I hope it didn't go over. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's connect. If you'd like to, happy to talk on my email address, reach me on LinkedIn at Lawrence Malion. Our website is danini.co.uk, and I'm happy to have a chat. Thank you, everybody.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Lawrence, for sharing this valuable information. Last but not least, I will now invite Palmer Rosen, Managing Partner of Rosen Vacations, to share his company's reasoning behind making the switch to Guesty, the pain points they managed to resolve, and the tech stack they built to streamline their operations. Over to you, Palmer.
Thanks, Joseph. Thanks, Lawrence. Nice presentation. We made the switch to Guesty about, I would say 5 months ago, which we're super happy with. I'm more than willing to come on and help support them today, and let everyone know that we've been really satisfied. We're, as Lawrence mentioned, positioned for growth that would have never been possible, in my opinion, with any of the other PMS systems that we interviewed. So with that, I'll get into my presentation. My company is called Rosen Vacations. We operate out of Southwest Florida in the United States. We primarily have villas and high-end condos in our portfolio. Our typical property is something that we'll rent for maybe between $500 to $1,500 a night. So it's usually pretty high-end stuff. Mostly waterfront. We have a few golf course front properties. We own some of the properties. We manage some of the properties. I got into this business as actually an investor, and I began managing my own properties. And over time, we developed out the capabilities to kind of onboard and grow more properties. And with that, we made the decision to also develop an external vacation rental or property management offering, which has gone really well for us. Right now, we have about 80 properties. Most of them are probably a 50% condo, 50% home distribution. They're all short-term rentals with the exception of, I think, 2 of our properties, which we'll rent on an annual basis. That may change over time. We decided to do that when coronavirus had first affected us. They actually shut down short-term rentals for about 2 months in Florida in 2020. That would be March and April 2020. So we took on a couple annuals to diversify our revenue stream. Bookings primarily are driven through OTAs. So we're taking maybe 40% of our business through our direct website. We have a team of about 15 cleaners. We have 2 full-time maintenance techs, 2 reservationists that will take inbound reservations and coordinate cleanings and scheduling. And my wife and I run the business at an operational level. When we started, it was just my wife and I, and we were managing our own properties. We started with just 2 investment properties, and over the past 6 years or so have grown the business significantly. We're poised to probably go to, maybe 250 properties would be our goal, and we've doubled our growth every year since we started. So we think that's eventually where we'll end up, and we're confident that with Guesty we can get there. We do have some motels that we own as well. Both of them are on Sanibel Island. One is called the Palm View and the other is the Sandpiper. We have a separate team for the motels, and we also have a separate standalone website for the motels that we maintain through Guesty. which has also been a great asset to our business. As Lawrence kind of keyed in on, a lot of this business is branding, right? You establish your brand, guests enjoy their experience, guests rebook at the brand level, and when they tell other people about their experience, usually they're referring the brand rather than a specific property. So that's been an asset to the business. We primarily try to drive bookings for the motels through our direct to website portal. A lot of the re-engagement that we do has helped, and Guesty has enabled us to do that. We also have a real estate business that's I would say like a smaller component of Rosen Vacations. We do about 10 million in sales a year, and mostly I'm acting in the capacity of an advisor advising existing clients that are looking to pick up more rental properties and put them into our program, as to what rental properties would produce the most revenue, or provide them with the most bang for buck. So I guess you could call me a subject matter expert in that field. I do very little marketing for real estate. Most of that is inbound business that comes from existing clients that are either vacation rental clients or real estate clients that then become real estate or vacation rental clients. So we get a lot of business that is referred through kind of one silo of our business, and then those customers become customers of another aspect of our business, which is kind of cool. So we have a lot of people that will stay with us that then become, eventual owners and clients of the property management business. And we have a lot of people that own with us and manage their properties with us that then want to buy more and then become real estate clients. So the synergies there have been nice, and Guesty, has also enabled us to set up a real estate website, a standalone, which has been cool because we're not having to pay anything for it, and we're able to kind of refer real estate clients to the vacation rental website. The tech stack we currently use. So we integrate with pretty much every OTA that Guesty offers integrations with. That's been big for us, especially for the motels. They're all nightly rentals. So we do a lot of business on booking.com and Expedia. With Guesty, every integration that we've been offered, we haven't received a single double booking. There are no pricing discrepancies. What you see is what you get. I mean, if they offer an integration, it's going to be a solid one, which for us was one of the primary reasons that we onboarded with Guesty. We were just looking for something reliable, something that wasn't going to bring in a bunch of inbound business at the wrong pricing levels, or for dates that had already been booked. It's been great. We have 4 websites through Guesty. We have one for the property management company. We have 2 for the inns, and then we have 1 for our real estate business. So that's been nice. And they're literally as easy to set up as simply entering the domain name of the website, branding it with some sort of a picture and a logo, and then pressing, launch. It's been great. We participate in a damage insurance program with Guesty, which enables us to automatically propagate out an additional charge to any guest that stays with us, that then is used to purchase damage insurance for that given reservation. We make a little bit of money on the damage insurance, which has been an additional revenue driver for us. We also use a keyless entry system. We're not really using, I would say, technology at the level Lawrence managed, but we do use keyless entry, which in our area is considered kind of cutting edge. We primarily operate in an area with a lot of really over-bloated property managers that have been in the business for 30, 40, 50 years. And those management companies are primarily associated with real estate companies. So really their core competency isn't management, it's real estate, and they just happen to have a property management offering as well. So I took a lot of good cues from the previous presentation. We're going to look into, all of those integrations. We've only been with Guesty a few months, so our goal really is to kind of develop out this offering as we grow and integrate with more vendors as we kind of get more experience with Guesty. And the goal ultimately is to have everything automated. I think that should be everyone's goal in this business. So we're looking forward to taking advantage of some of those integrations. As far as switching to Guesty, why did we switch? With Guesty, I mean, you get responses within, I would say, like an hour or two of filing a customer support message. They're thoughtful. They take the time to look into your issue before responding. And generally, if there is an issue that needs to be escalated, someone will actually call you. So they'll escalate that to a management level employee on the customer success side. The unified inbox has been huge. So whether we get a message from customer staying at one of our motel properties from Expedia, or we get someone from China inquiring on Agoda, or we get someone that's, let's say, staying for 6 months at one of our seasonal rentals. Everything is coming through the inbox, whether they're booked on our website or an OTA. Also, someone that just makes an inquiry on our website, everything is grouped into one inbox. We can tag those messages in accordance with which employee that message should be inbound to. So if it's a message that, let's say, should be relayed to one of our reservationists, I can tag that employee on their reservation, and it will actually give them an update in their Guesty app and assign the message to them and track it all the way through fulfillment. So that's been really great. You can create users really seamlessly. So all of our team, we've been able to create accounts for. And what's been nice with that is you can, in a really granular way, define what access that employee has. So if you don't want someone to have access to, let's say, the financials of a given listing or the organization level financials, you can choose just to give that person access to messaging capabilities or listing creation or calendar management, or credit card processing. So there's a lot of benefits that kind of user regulation, automated messaging. This differs from the unified inbox in that you can actually set up, let's say, like rental agreements to go out to guests, at a scheduled time. If you don't receive a rental agreement back from that guest, there's conditional formatting that you can engage in. So let's say if you're a day before the reservation and a guest hasn't filled out the rental agreement, you can actually set up conditional logic so that it sends the rental agreement again with a different message to that guest. And if they don't have a rental agreement created by check-in, you can set up logic so that the check-in instructions aren't sent to them. So, I mean, that's been huge. And I mean, there are multiple capacities in which that can be used. I mean, you could set that up for payments, non-receipt of payments, chargebacks. Let's say if a guest has some sort of a problem or specific text is mentioned in one of their messages, you can actually set up a saved reply in Guesty so that if a guest messages you using the words, locked out or a certain string or a phrase, you actually are provided with pre-programmed answers in Guesty that our reservationists can then send them in an easy way that's also meaningful to the guest. You can program it so that it has the guest's name in there, so it doesn't just look like a pre-programmed response. Owner notifications have been good. So for people that don't own all of their properties and have clients like we do, the owner portal has been exceptional. I mean, easy to log into, easy to maneuver. Owners can view all of their reservations. And you can also choose which information to show to owners. We can choose whether or not to show them revenue, whether or not to show them average nightly rate, whether or not to show them reservations at all. So for different owners, we've actually set up different logic because there are certain owners that like to get really granular and ask a lot of questions. Those are the owners that we tend to give the higher level access to, whereas we find that, it's kind of not necessary to give all owners that level of access. Otherwise, it will bring in some, an unnecessary level of attention to issues that they'll get on statements anyway. Responsiveness of the web app and the iOS app, it's easier to navigate, it's easier to understand. You can download it on any Apple phone. So all of our maintenance techs have the Guesty app, and we then send out to them maintenance request. It comes right to their app. They get a notification. They can track it from, project start, project completion. If they aren't able to complete the task for some reason, they can upload a picture. Like, let's say if they try to fix something and, there's an issue, they can actually picture that, upload it to the app, and then that escalates back up to us. So everything is automated. I mean, it's been a good experience so far. As far as the switch goes, I guess a couple pieces of advice, some learnings in particular from our own experience. The first one being that, you shouldn't necessarily give your legacy PMS too much notice about the transition or your desire to transition to Guesty or any other PMS for that matter. Wait to do that before you are maybe within a month of onboarding with Guesty. Develop relationship with your onboarding manager. This was hugely important for us. Once you are then onboarded to Guesty, you have a customer relationship manager. Joshua is the name of ours. He's been awesome. Develop your relationship out with them. It's important, to have a point of contact if you ever need something, someone to advocate for you on the inside. Onboarding in the downtime. So that's different for everyone. Our down season is typically September and October. That's when we onboarded with Guesty. You definitely don't want to do this in your peak season. This is something that's a really monumental lift. I mean, as Lawrence kind of alluded to, it's, Guesty has a lot of functionality, and as a result, the onboarding is, fairly, the time dedicated to onboarding for us was fairly substantial. A lot of Zoom calls, there's a lot of information that needs to be provided both ways. At the end of the day, it was totally worth it. But we definitely are glad that we did the onboarding in off season. Export all of your legacy PMS data twice, back it up, really came in handy when we had to file for 1099s this year. It's going to come in handy with taxes. Literally, we would not be able to retrieve that data otherwise. So it's important to have all of that and consolidate it in some way before you onboard. And then we also found that it was, really helpful to schedule some overlap between the PMSs. And that was so that we could retrieve that data should we need to, listing descriptions, just basic things to build the templates for your listings, owner data, reservation level data, things like that. It's, it's going to cost you a little extra money, but it's totally worth it because otherwise it's going to be difficult to get that if you need it. And then off-season upgrades. For us, we have to prioritize, and we have, needs pulling us in about 50 directions. What we found has provided the most meaningful results has been onboarding new vendors. It's really hard for us to find vendors right now. Where we are, it's just difficult to find good help. We're primarily located on barrier islands in Florida. So a lot of the service providers don't necessarily live in the areas that we provide service in. They're having to drive an hour and a half to get here. And with that limitation comes huge difficulty in finding help. So we dedicate a lot of our time in off season to just kind of structuring our team for the next year and the next season. We do 360-degree evaluations. What are our core competencies? Where can we improve? We go through guest reviews. We call owners for feedback. We look at what other companies are doing, and we benchmark ourselves against those companies. What are they doing, that we aren't doing? What are we doing that they aren't doing? Prioritize and, kind of execute. So the reason that we actually onboarded to Guesty was because another manager in our area was looking into it, and we evaluated ourselves against them, looked into Guesty, and then decided to make that transition. So I think things like that are essential, constantly improving. That's, in my mind, the only way to really remain competitive in the business, because there's just so constantly this stream of technology and improvements thrown at you and integrations. You really have to prioritize because there's just no time to do it all. New client onboarding. With us, we find that it's far easier to onboard new clients in the off season. That also tends to be, at least in our market, when clients are looking to make changes. So usually that's when business is slowest, and that's kind of when it's the right time to strike. So, the middle of season is not necessarily a time in which you're going to get a lot of inbound clients, because they tend to be doing well. Everyone is fully booked in season. It's when it comes around to the off season that people tend to start thinking about, okay, maybe I should make the transition. We don't have that many bookings. So that's been advisable for us. And then the last one is just take time off. It's super important, for us, a balanced life. Once you get to kind of the maturity level of a business and you're not growing that business anymore, you're just focusing on operations, it's important to take some time off, live a balanced life. At the end of the day, if you stress yourself out and burn out, you're not an asset to your business. You're a liability at that point. And that's what we've learned. So it's important. And Guesty has enabled us to do that. It's just taken so much weight off our shoulders in terms of day-to-day operational needs. And, it's enabled us to kind of structure a business, which is primed for growth. So Guesty makes it all easy. It frees up a lot of time to spend actually growing your business rather than worrying about your PMS. So that is all I got, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Palmer. Thank you, Lawrence. Valuable information there. So now I would like to kick off our panel discussion and our live audience Q&A. First of all, I would like to address the first question to the three of you. A property management software is intended to simplify the back end of property management, but it can be argued that a quality PMS will also benefit guest experience. What guest-facing operations should companies consider when shopping for a new PMS?
I would say, like I hit on in my presentation, unified inbox is huge. Re-engagement. So the unified inbox from inbound guest messaging and then to, the automated messaging for outbound re-engagement has been important for us. And Guesty enables all of that to be integrated and native within, the Guesty application. You're not having to integrate separately with OTAs, which has been big. So I would say, selecting a PMS that had the capability to both message, in an outbound manner and an inbound manner with guests natively, marketing out to OTAs, all of that should be integrated. And I think also it's important to consider Guesty has a really nice feature, which is called like a check-in form. So a lot of times, when a guest would arrive, we wouldn't have vital information such as, when were you arriving? What flight were you on? Are you renting a car? All of that is kind of valuable in preparation, both on the cleaning side and then the maintenance side for guests. So if we know that a guest's not going to arrive till 8 or 9 p.m., that means we have 6 more hours to fix whatever maintenance issue we're dealing with, or, to perform a deep clean when an apartment really needs it. Whereas before, we had no idea when the guest was arriving. We didn't know how they were traveling. So if we needed to make parking accommodations for them, with Guesty, all of that is automated. So a check-in form is sent to them. The guests, you're able to actually design the check-in form for your specific needs. So you can kind of take what you need and leave the rest. For us, we use that a lot with specifically parking, because there's really limited parking where we are. Lots are really, really valuable and everything's waterfront. So there aren't a lot of parking lots. So we need to know exactly how many guests are bringing cars and how many guests aren't. And that enables us to kind of structure the parking lot so that, we can accommodate everyone that's renting a car and everyone that's not. Again, like I said, with the maintenance side of things, there's always maintenance issues with the nightly rentals. So knowing that a guest isn't checking in until later can be the difference between a really good experience for a guest and a guest checking into, a puddle of water in the kitchen, right? Or a potentially dangerous situation that could cause you to run liability.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Palmer. Lawrence, what about you? What tools are you using in terms of guest experience?
A lot of what Palmer's just said, to be honest with you, but I think the unified inbox, the automated responses, the automated, we call it our guest journey, but the different kind of touch points that automatically go out, whether that's an email, an OTA message, a text message. Like, for example, we send a text on the first day of your stay, like, so the day after you check in, and it just says, a first name, just checking in and see how everything's going. Thanks, Lawrence.
Like a communication workflow.
And
touch point of the guest journey.
Yeah, to that guest is genuinely like a really natural conversation. So yeah, I think basically what Palmer said, to be honest with you.
Excellent. What about third-party applications? Are you using anything at the moment, or it's primarily the built-in tools in Guesty?
Is that for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have managed to get an integration through Hubspot, and we use Zapier to achieve that. But I mean, that is massive for us. Hubspot is a tool that's really useful for us from a sales point of view, both bringing on properties and actually getting bookings in. A lot of corporate stuff, so like longer term stays, extended stays. So we need Hubspot for that, and to get Guesty to marry up with Hubspot has been really valuable. We can actually get revenue data from Guesty to run through to Hubspot, so that marries up with our Hubspot reports. And we've actually got like a Google Ads search term all the way through to a booking to marry up in Hubspot, so you can actually kind of track someone's entire journey through to booking from before we even knew who they were, which is quite cool. Beyond pricing is, again, we've kind of looked at different systems like that. It's definitely the best in my mind, and you have an integration with that. Really easy to connect, like incredibly easy to connect. I think we changed our rates over in like 30 minutes. And the Home Inspire one, anybody who's concerned about gas and electric bills and, in fact, the environment, you should have a look at the Home Inspire connection. I think it's like £100, so I don't know, $140 or something like that to get a little unit per listing. And that connects to your boiler, and literally like 2 hours before a guest arrives, which could be fed through your check-in form, Palmer. 2 hours before a guest arrives, the heating can go on, and when they check out, the heating can go off. Like, that's really pretty cool.
Excellent. Thank you very much, guys. Next, Daniel, a couple of questions for you. You mentioned that Guesty's onboarding journey is tailored to the needs of each property management company. Can you expand on this and perhaps provide an example of what this might look like in practice?
Yeah, sure, Joseph. So we begin every onboarding journey with what we call a kickoff call, where it's basically a meet and greet from one of my team members and obviously the user and their team as well. And in this call, we really delve a lot deeper into the channels, percentage of reservations coming from said channels, looking into their tech stack they're currently using, as well as discussing the biggest pain points. I mentioned earlier that we do have a customized onboarding journey, and this helps us customize it more because we want to make sure that there's as little downtime as possible for our users. So that comes into the channels and tech stack discussion, as well as we come up with a plan for the migration. This plan we share with the users, we kind of come together and create it together. And this allows for a much more smoother transition from any PMS to Guesty than if we just went in, started connecting different channels, started connecting different tech stacks without really giving it a lot more thought. And the piece of pain points is also the other side of the onboarding. So one side is integration, the other side is kind of functionality, set up, best practices. But when we speak to users and they tell us some of their biggest pain points early on, what we'll do is we'll have a look at the onboarding journey and see what we can, certain elements we can pull forward in the onboarding journey to address these pain points. So for example, if a big pain point is direct reservations, which a lot of our users have that big pain point, then what we do is we bring the module for setting up the Guesty booking engine. We're using a Stripe, automating the payments. We bring it closer or earlier in the process in order to address their pain points as quickly as possible. We found this kind of flexibility to what we do and how we build the process allows for us not just to minimize downtime, I said before, but also allow the users to see value as quickly as possible with reducing these pain points. And the other thing is timing, which the guests mentioned earlier. We spend quite a bit of time speaking to our users about kind of when their peak season is happening, and we really gauge from then when it's a good time to make this switch. Because I've had countless discussions with users, and there's no problem waiting a week, a month, whatever it takes, because the last thing that we want to do is cause any added stress to this migration. And I think going through a peak season at the same time as switching softwares is an added stress that we can easily avoid. And we can use that time to plan it even more efficiently and effectively. So there's no real time wasted because we can just invest more resources into that planning piece of it.
Excellent. Thanks for that. I do have an additional question for you. What are some of the most common questions and requests your team gets during the onboarding journey, and how do you address them?
So I think the most common question is finishing onboarding within a couple of days. So many people come to us and say, we want everything done, we want everything connected, everything integrated, and we only have 3 days. Let's do it before this weekend. That's definitely the most common request, let's say, we get. And to a certain extent, I completely understand where the user's coming from for this, because they are transitioning to new software. They want things up and running as fast as possible. They want to minimize that downtime, which we all want to do, but to push it and to fast track it as quickly as possible. And we've tried this in the past with some of our users. It ends up being detrimental to their business because we didn't have time, or we didn't allocate enough time with the user to properly plan, to make sure that the migration is one piece of it, but also make sure that the best practices and the software is customized to their business and their operations. So when we rush things, we found in the past that it didn't go to plan, and that's why we do gradually roll it out. And I think the other element here, which it's really important to discuss, is the idea of kind of change management. So everyone knows when you switch from one software to another, it requires a certain mindset from not just our customers, but also our customers and their colleagues, so their employees. And there's nothing wrong with this fear of change, but we really stress to users to start highlighting some concerns early on in the onboarding process, and then we can basically work with them to address these concerns. And essentially, when change is systematic and at the right pace, it's much easier to absorb and adopt. If it's rushed, then we've noticed, and I think it's what we see often. You have a lot more resistance to that change management.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Daniel. A couple of questions for you, Lawrence. Malion, co-founder of Danini Apartments. So as we've mentioned, the decision to migrate your entire business operation to a new software is not a small one. What ultimately convinced you that you needed a change, and what went into your decision process when selecting a new software?
Okay. I would probably say, firstly, like what we're doing right now, like this kind of call and the fact that you guys do webinars and actually engage with a community, that's kind of what we're all about, is actually building a proper professional business. And I think a lot of PMS operators are not that. So we kind of wanted a strategic partner, if you like, that actually kind of thinks about things in the way that we do, that we could actually go to with problems and with kind of a better vision of the future that you could kind of help us to maybe add to your roadmap and actually genuinely put in place. And so kind of overarching, like literally Palmer has said so many things there that I'm like, oh man, we should be doing that. Why are we not doing that? So this kind of platform in general, like we definitely did not get this with our previous PMSs, and I guess there's some of them that have things that are similar, but I've not seen it. I think kind of more specifically, the things that we needed that were non-negotiable was a far better sense of our kind of financial health of our business. Like I literally, from our finance guy, I get a pickup report every single morning, and it takes him seconds to do. And he highlights wee bits for me to look at that are important. But every single morning I can get that just runs straight from analytics and Guesty. Above that, the direct booking part of our website used to be just horrendous. The UX, the kind of user journey to actually go and make a booking, was not a good one. So people would just book on OTAs instead. The majority of our properties are our own. We don't manage them. So we rather, obviously don't pay the OTA commission. We'd much rather get those direct bookings. So that was a really, really big one for us. I think probably as well, those integrations, and not just integrations, but the appetite to actually go out and have third-party kind of integrations. And we believed at the time, at least, and you're proving that out, that you would go and expand on that and improve the system in general. Like we believed that there would be a roadmap and you would actually improve over time. All of that.
Excellent. So you did mention a few things about what you value in a property management software as a partner. If you can touch more on that, obviously looking at a PMS as a good fit for you, and looking at having a long-lasting, productive working relationship. What did you look for in a PMS besides the technical features that your business needed to thrive?
Yeah. Okay. I think I just said it there really, but the strategic partner piece, definitely. Somebody that's actually going to come and genuinely care about Danini and how kind of we grow and the things that are important to us. Like Hazel, our client success manager, if we have an issue, she'll kind of talk us through it. Training as well, like new team members as part of their onboarding, we want them to be fully brought up to speed. You guys will offer to kind of onboard our new team members, if you like. What's important? I think the whole concept of an account manager and actually having, obviously there's Guesty support that you can reach out and raise a ticket with, but actually having a person that you can like WhatsApp or email and jump on a Zoom with is like, that's pretty cool. That's how we do things here and how we would like to do things with people that we partner with. I think the kind of support piece as well, and having access to support that actually comes back quite quickly and we'll get things resolved. I don't know if I've answered your question. I hope I have.
Yeah. So basically looking at a property management company from a holistic point of view, and then providing solutions that are, to resolve a unique use case, right? Then trying to offer sort of like a template that fits all. I think that's what's, very important here. Definitely. So thank you very much for that. Palmer, over to you. Obviously, you're happy with your decision to have migrated your business to a new software. Can you provide quantifiable evidence for us that it was the right decision for your company, whether it would be time saved, revenue earned, cost minimized, or growth that you have achieved, and so on? And maybe you have already touched on that during your presentation.
Sure. Yeah. I think for us, the biggest quantifiable gain we've had since going with Guesty has been, I think twofold. One, the reduction in time that we spend actually operationally managing the business. So whether that's, logging bookings, which we did have to do with our previous PMS, everything wasn't integrated. So if we received a booking on one OTA, we'd actually have to go into our PMS and enter that name, phone number, email, reservation amount, taxes. It was a real pain, to the aspect, financial savings. I mean, everything is streamlined. The pricing, there's pricing functionality that Guesty incorporates that our previous PMS did not. It's enabled us to leave fewer dollars on the table when it comes to taking bookings for, below market average, taking bookings for years in advance. We haven't set up price defaults for those dates yet. Guesty's enabled us to link properties into groups so that instead of having to define define pricing at the property level, we can simply define a property group, and automatically the pricing schema is assigned to that property based on its group. So we're not having to go in every new property we get and assign date specific pricing, which is how it worked with our last PMS. We literally would have to go into every single week of the year, all 52 weeks, and assign a single rate. What's been nice with Guesty also is that it has an orphan pricing functionality. So let's say there are 2 weeks booked and there are maybe 3 days in between those 2 weeks, rather than leaving those 3 days on the table at full price, because of the lower likelihood of those dates booking, we're able to assign orphan pricing to them. And you can define how many days, you need how many days threshold that orphan pricing needs in order to kind of go into effect. That's been very nice for our nightly properties, because if we have a single night, like maybe a Sunday available, that we really want to get booked for that additional revenue, but we don't necessarily, know how to price it. We can set up a pricing structure so that the system automatically does that, and we're not having to go in and, set every single available night at a reduced price ourselves.
That's great stuff, great insights, and I'm happy to learn about how especially our revenue management tools are helping your business thrive. I think that's super important. And now, before we wrap things up, I would like to invite you all to Guestival 2022. So that's our annual conference. For the first time ever, our industry conference is making its US debut in Austin, Texas, and we plan plenty of exciting activities. I'd love you to join us as we celebrate the short-term and vacation rental industry. And I would love you to join us at this event. You can learn more about the event at www.guestival.com. And of course, if you have more questions, you can about the event, you can reach out to meetup@guesty.com and check out guesty.com/events. Thank you very, very much all for participating. And of course, thank you very much for our speakers. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.